Hello world, I'm Saint Dev Guy, and this video is going to be about filler tasks. What is a filler task? Filler task is anything that is useful and short and can be done in times when working on my main project would not really be having meaningful progress done in. For example, if I finish up a project at the end of the day, there's still a little bit of time left, but not enough to start a new project. If I have a filler task that I can be useful at, that's quick and easy, and I can just do that. And then I can start fresh on the project, on the new task tomorrow. Same thing happens at the end of the week. If I have a few days off and I finish something and there just isn't enough time to start up a new task and get into it far enough that I will remember what I did when I get back from my break, it's nice to have maybe a little bit bigger filler task to do, so I can also be very useful during that period of time and actually at the end of the week actually go home with even more of a good mood because I finished things and I didn't kind of start something new and now I'm worried about it. I don't know how to solve it yet, that kind of stuff. Other times I'll do things is if I have two meetings that are just too long to take a small break between, but not long enough to actually get my main tasks backloaded into my brain and get anything meaningful done, a filler task is a great thing to do right there. And the last time I often use filler tasks is if I'm working on my main task and I just have to pause. Maybe I have a question. Maybe I didn't think of something. I have to ask someone and they don't have time to get back to me right away. I have this indeterminate amount of time that I need to do something useful besides twiddling my thumbs. And I really don't want to start another big task because then I'd have two in my brain. I'd have to stop it and wait for the first task to be done. I have a little filler task I can do, especially if I can stop at any time and still get something useful out of it. Hey, benefit, great. What filler task do I use? Training is a great filler task. Either if I know I have a little extra time and I know how long the training is, or just a little time spent looking up something on the web that I always wondered how to do something and I never really knew for sure and was just kind of baking it, but maybe in the future I'll need it. If I have a little more time and I can do a small prototype with something I wanted to learn, it's a great time to do that learning now because when I actually need that information, I might be in the middle of a critical task and not have the time to stop and try to make a prototype. Polishing things, making things look a little more professional, making things look a little nicer, maybe adding a chart to a spreadsheet, that's always appreciated. Sometimes people don't even notice, they just have a better day or it's more intuitive to use the work I've done. That's a great thing to do. I could polish all day. I know I never stop, but even 10 minutes spent making something look a little bit better, changing a few words, looking up through a thesaurus to find better words, that can be very useful to reduce confusion and really help the people who use my stuff. Sometimes there's a lower priority item that frankly I would not really going to get to because I keep getting interrupted by higher priority items, but if I have enough time I can throw in a lower priority item to someone, they would be usually very grateful. Sometimes in my main task there's some optional things I wanted to do that I think would help. If I can just kick off one of those that are really easy, I'll make my main task look that much better and I'll delight people and not just satisfy them that I did the job. A few times I've had trouble with doing filler tasks. I have to be careful. If I'm recording hours, I'm being very careful and applying hours to very small blocks of time, then I only somewhat limited to what I use for hours on a task. And so sometimes I can't get to the tasks I really may want to do, but I can get to something else that's still useful to do that I can put those hours down and still be honest about my hours. The main time I don't want to do filler tasks is if I'm working on a task that has high visibility, either because it's really critical or it's behind, I jumped in to help, or any reason why there's a lot of visibility in the task I'm doing. Sometimes not doing that task, not doing fillers during that task is just smart. So don't do it. That's all I got for filler tasks. Stay sane.